Brilliant start there from Shericka Fraser-Pryce, as always. Now into the transition. Nobody can really live with her at the moment. Talu is trailing in her weight. Jackson's trying to come back at her, but it's Shericka Fraser-Pryce. Jackson is coming back at her. She's got it. Jackson may be on the line. That was...
Yes, the Brussels Diamond League did not disappoint earlier on Friday with the highly anticipated women's 100 metres being the headline event. Shericka Jackson trumped the fastest woman in the world this year, Shericka Fraser-Pryce, producing that 10.73 to beat the pocket rocket. The Ivory Coast's Marie-Josée Talu was third. There was no denying Puerto Rican Jasmine Camacho-Quinn in the women's hurdles, the sprint event. The Olympic champion clocking 12.27 to break the 36-year-old meet record and choke up her fifth win in the Diamond League this season. Americans Tia Jones and Kendra Harrison, the former world record holder, finished second and third, respectively, ahead of the Jamaicans Brittany Anderson and Megan Tapper. On the men's 200 metres, the American Arian Knighton got his first Diamond League win of the season, clocking 20.07 to finish ahead of the Dominican Republic's Alexander Ogando and Canada's Erin Brown. In the women's 400 metres, the Dominican Republic's Fiordalisa Kofil beat the Barbadian Shadi Williams, and an impressive run there from Belgium's Cynthia Bolinga, running a national record 50.19 to get third. Jamaicans Candice McLeod and Stephanie Ann McPherson were fifth and eighth, respectively. Now with us in studio to break down the day's action, Leighton Levy. Leighton, when we talk track and field, we don't leave you out, and we had a discussion off air probably an hour ago, and your assessment of what happened in the 100 today, not surprising for you that Shericka Fraser-Pryce lost? No,
not. But when you consider what happened in Lausanne a couple of weeks ago when she withdrew from the meet, citing hamstring tightness, it was an indication, I think, of the fatigue factor of a high-quality season. 10.67 4 times, 10.66, 10.62, and the international travel. If you remember, she just a couple of days before she was supposed to compete in Lausanne, she was in Jamaica. She left Jamaica, and international travel is difficult. It's several thousand miles, connecting flights, possibly missed flights. You know, so she went in obviously fatigued from the journey as well. So as a precaution, she pulled up, citing a cramp or tightness in her hamstring. What a lot of people don't realize is that a tightness in your hamstring is an injury. It's a mild injury, but it's an injury nonetheless. She probably spent the last 2 weeks, the 2 weeks prior to that, after that, rehabbing, doing some activation exercises and some high knees to get in shape. And of course, feeling free to compete. She chose to compete today. But as we all know, training and exercising is different from the adrenaline factor that's involved in competition. So today, running that race, the first 70 meters, she looked like the Shericka Fraser-Pryce that we all knew. However, when she came under pressure from Shericka Jackson, as she expected to, she wasn't able to hold that form. And of course, you saw the strain on her face, suggesting that that hamstring might have been talking to her in that last 30 meters. She drifted from one side of the lane to the next, and of course, Shericka closed the gap and edged her at the line. For me right now, I think I'm not her guidance, I'm not her mentor, but practically speaking, I think this probably should be the last race of her season, because she did intimate afterwards that she's not sure she's going to go to Zurich in 4 days. I would suggest that she doesn't, because look, she has the World Championships next year and the Olympics in 2024, which is our ultimate objective. The thing is, does she want to risk an injury that could prevent her from, because remember, she's 35, recovery from a severe hamstring injury could pretty much wash away all those hopes of competing in Budapest next year and, of course, in Paris in 2024. If her body tells her to shut down, I think she should. And, of course, you know, prepare for next season, because I don't think she'd lose anything monetarily by not going to Zurich. Anything that she would have lost today or in Tuesday at Zurich, she probably would have been compensated by her clauses in her contract, because she's world number one. She's the fastest woman in the world. She's a 5-time world champion. There are enough bonuses there for her to, you know, compensate for any loss she would have had monetarily going into Zurich.
Yeah. You referenced earlier on the number of times she has gone below 10.70 and how impressive she has been so far this year with her 10.67 clockings and so on. I count of the 18 times that a woman has run sub 10.7, she has been responsible for 8 of the 18. What does that say about not only her current status as the world number one over the 100, but her place in history?
I've long felt that she's the greatest sprinter, female sprinter in history, notwithstanding their different opinions.
Sprinter or 100-meter sprinter?
Sprinter.
Period.
Okay.
Why I say this?
Yes.
Okay, so she's a 5-time world 100-meter champion. She's a 200-meter champion in 2013. She has an Olympic silver and a world championship silver, running times of 21:79 and 21:81 this year. There was an argument prior to that she doesn't have the 200 numbers to back up that claim of being a 200-meter sprinter. But what we've seen from her the last 2 years, 21:79 at 21:94 and the Olympic final, notwithstanding the fact that she came fourth, but 21:81 for a silver medal in Oregon this summer, tells you that her quality as a 200-meter sprinter is also there. So for me, I hear the arguments which I scoff at about Flo Jo's greatness. Okay, you can be great for 3 months and be the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But when you look at the body of work since 2008, and not even mentioning 2007, because remember she was in the World Championships in 2010 as a member of the Jamaica's 4x1 relay team.
Yes.
But from 2008 until now, that's what, 14, 15 years? Who has had a better body of work as a sprinter, female, male or female?
No one, no one.
No one.
Yes.
That for me makes her the greatest sprinter of all time.
Right, and Leighton, we have to talk about the winner, Shericka Jackson, your assessment of the race that she ran. And she also said in the post-match interview that, you know, she has her eyes set on that Diamond League trophy.
Well, can't blame her. I mean, look, Shericka Jackson is a smidgen away from 10-6. And I think once she gets her start, the more consistently, the quality.
Because she didn't start well today.
She didn't particularly start well today, but she has a strong finish, which is what she uses to her advantage in most instances. If she can get the different phases of her race together, there's no reason why she can't go to Zurich and win again. I mean, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, if she chooses to compete in Zurich, is still going to be hampered by that hamstring injury. It's not going to go away in 4 days. Or that hamstring issue, I shouldn't call it an injury because I know there are people out there pulling out their hair now about this. But the reality is that she's not 100%. Shericka Jackson is in the best position to capitalize on that. Marie-José Tallou is right there, but Marie-José Tallou was third again today. Once Shericka runs well and Shelly runs well, if she chooses to go to Zurich, I think the Diamond League title is up for grabs. And I think Shericka Jackson has proven this year that she is the best combination female sprinter actively competing right now. And I'm certain in the next couple of years she'll be the best of all time.
A quick comment on Sha'Carri Richardson, who was part of the build-up when people spoke about this big clash today. I didn't think she would have made the top 3, and she didn't.
Yeah, well, you know, Casey, you're logical, right? There are a lot of emotional people out there when she beat Elaine in Lucerne on Tuesday. They were saying, oh, finally, she's finally done it. But what I found with Sha'Carri is that as talented as she is, and I still believe that she's talented, there's no doubt that you don't run 10.72 and 10.75 and do the things that she's done in the last couple of years and not be a talented sprinter. But what I find is that when she's in a race with people who she knows can beat her, she tends to tighten up a little bit. We saw that in Oregon last year. We saw that again today. The first 45 meters, she was out of the race and hit reverse somewhere about 60. And understanding that there is no chance for her to beat the top contenders in the world until she overcomes what I believe is a mental barrier. She's not going to be able to deliver the talent that we know she has. So I was not surprised about the 5th place finish today, notwithstanding what happened in Lucerne on Tuesday. The fact is that she's mentally right now. I don't think she's in a place where she's going to be able to compete against the best in the world. And that's not just for the Jamaicans. That's also the likes of Tallou and Aaliyah Hobbs. Anybody who's able to run 10.7s or 10.8s, 10.8 lows consistently will beat Sha'Carri Richardson in a major race because she seems to be able to not be able to find her best when she comes up against the best.
Right, and speaking about the best, Shade Williams today in the 400 meter, she could manage second, of course, in 50.15. What did you make of that performance?
Very good run, but I think the season is beginning to take its toll on her. I think she's run really fast consistently this season. But for the Lisa Cofield from the Dominican Republic, tells me, again, I've been saying it all year, so their men and women has a pretty strong program over there going on with their 400-meter runners. Of course, when you look at Paulina and now her 49.80 tells you that they're building a strong core. But for Sade Williams, you know, coming out of the World Championships, winning bronze, winning the Commonwealth title, running 49s in a couple of Diamond League meets afterwards, and of course coming to the 50.15, I think you're beginning to see now the strain on her body. She was actually in the lead with about 60 meters to go, and then rapidly faded down the stretch. Tells you that she's probably ready to come home. She has a couple of races left, so she prepare, make some more money and then come home and get some rest, because she's had an outstanding season. And I think all of Barbados should be proud of her.
Yeah, and her first competitive run this season would have been early February, one of the development meets, I think, at the National Stadium in Kingston. So her season has been pretty long. Even though many of her rivals would have been running indoors in February anyway.
Yeah, the thing is, look, when you're hitting that peak for the very first time, her body is still getting used to the idea of running as fast as it has this season. She's never done that before. So it's about getting acclimatized, performing at a high level consistently, where you're at the elite level, where you can't afford to have a drop-off. 50.15 is a very good time, but in the context of where the women are these days, it's not good enough to win. And she found that out today. Of course, I'm not taking anything of her. I think she had a really... I don't think if she woke up in January and somebody said that you'd be a bronze medalist in Oregon, a Commonwealth champion, and of course winning money on the Diamond League circuit, she would have said, I'll take it.
Yeah. A quick comment on the sprint hurdles for women today. Camacho-Quinn, the Olympic champion. Amusan, the Nigerian world record holder, not there today. But the women's sprint hurdles will always be competitive. There is a proliferation of high-quality global talent. And Camacho-Quinn looked unbeatable coming out of the Olympic year last year. But Amusan has surfaced this year as a really special sprint hurdler. And Camacho-Quinn, just reminding fans today that she's still there. Yeah,
she had a blip in Oregon. I think she had an Achilles injury. I think it was a heel injury. It was some kind of injury. She wasn't 100%. I don't think it probably would have made a difference given what we saw from Toby Amusan. The thing is that the women's 100-meter hurdles is probably one of the deepest events in world track and field right now. When you consider that Tia Jones, who edged Brittany Anderson for that World Under-20 title back in 2018, ran 12:38 for second place today. That's a personal best for her. And you look at the world record holder, the former world record holder, Kenny Harris, 12:40 for third. Brittany Anderson, 12:44 for fourth. And Megan Tapper ran a personal best, 12:51 for fifth. That tells you about the quality of this event. And of course, but take nothing away from Jasmine Camacho-Quinn. She's been outstanding. She is the most consistent sprint hurdler in the world for the last 2.5 seasons. And I think she showed it again today. A new season's best, 12:27. And of course, looking to run away with. She hasn't lost a race in the Diamond League all season. Yeah. And I think she's definitely favorite going into Zurich to take the title overall. Because I think now that her confidence is back and she's healthy again, I think probably the only person who can beat her this season is Toby Amusan, and we'll see whether or not she does that in 4 days' time.
Right, and in the men's 200-meter, Arian Knighton taking that win, Jeremy Richards. I have an interest in his performance.
Obviously.
What did you make of?
I was rooting for him today so hard. I thought it was ridiculous. But I just think he ran out of energy. I think having peaked twice for this season for the World Championships on the Commonwealth Games, I just didn't think he had the energy. When he came on the stretch, you could see him working because the wind was very heavy, minus 2.8. I just think because he looked like he was holding on to third and then he faded a little bit. He ran well, but I think he just ran out of energy. I think, when you have the length of season that he's had, because remember, he's been running indoors, world indoor 400-meter champion. He's been going for a long stretch, and he's not the biggest athlete in the world. I just think he just ran out of gas down the stretch. I thought he was at 20.27 in that kind of wind is a very good performance, considering that Arian Knighton, a man who's run 19.49, was 20.07 in the indoors conditions. And I think Jeremy would go home happy knowing that he's run well this season. Even when he hasn't medaled, he's run really well.
Yeah. Your parting shot here with regard to the Zurich Diamond League final event, because of how this year has been set up with the World Champs and the Commonwealth Games and so on, does this Zurich Diamond League final feel like a bit of an anticlimax?
It probably will be. Why? And of course, European Championships as well.
That's right, yeah.
You're looking at it, I think you're going to have a lot of tired athletes come Tuesday. And I think while there will be outstanding times because the very nature of what is at stake, there's money at
Zurich
stake.
Usually produces fast times.
Yeah, because it's a good track and
sprints,
it's a nice condition. And the conditions are right. I think we'll see some good times. But I wouldn't be surprised if the winning times are not particularly impressive. I think the athletes have a long season, back-to-back championships, a long season coming from indoors, a compact season in terms of major championships. And I think it will probably be a bit of an anticlimax, but if you're a track and field fan, I think it's something you're looking forward to because they're going to be all the stars there, the healthy ones, and I think there's going to be some intense competition, notwithstanding the fact that there might not be extraordinary performances. Yes. There'll be intense and keenly contested performances.
Okay, and that will be Tuesday.
Yep.
That's the Diamond League final coming up on Tuesday in Zurich. And as you heard Leighton say, the world's best athletes, many of them, or at least the fit ones and the active ones, will be in action.
Yeah, and the plant is lost today. I mean, just think about that.
Break time. Back with more on the Sports Match Zone after this.